Putting everything together strengthened my resolve to leave Nigeria. Albeit it wasn't easy. I was desperate to use a car, at least to present myself as a doctor.
Yeah, newly minted.
When you say you dey save money, now motor I go back. I don't even negotiate that.
So he was using. He kept calling me. When are you coming? I just told her, look, stop disturbing me. I didn't pass primary. If you want to take me without primary, that is so they stopped. There was no light, there was no water, so they had to get water and light. So basically, I was a doctor, was living in a house with no light, with no water, with my siblings. And we were there. So it was tough. I got it because I look at everything around me. I'm like, okay, I need to go and pray. So I have one pastor. I went. I said, Pastor, pray for me. He prayed, and he told me, he said, well, I saw that you got the visa, but I saw that you wore a native dress. I said, native for visa interview? He said, yes. I went for the visa interview, and in my phone like this, the Oyibo man has denied 2 people. I went there.
Are you a native?
I went there. Doctor, are you a native doctor?
Are you a serious person?
I just remember one of our friends. They told him the same thing. Then they collected his passport, but he didn't know the process. He was not asking that. Give me my passport. Like you said, you approve it. Give me my passport.
I felt like I was going to be living like a poor man. Basically, that was the calculation in my head, because if you're being paid like 170 something thousand and like 45,000 to 50,000, you are using it for transportation.
Yeah,
you are basically poor in Lagos. So
and the stress.
Yes. So that was the Volvo that my father had used, and then we were talking. It was like, you can repair this Volvo and just be using it.
Yeah.
My mother warned me against it, but I did not listen.
You must learn now.
So I went. I put like
you could learn.
We published the Volvo. They did it every week. I was my mechanic's friend every week. I was doing one thing. I wanted.
All right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. You are welcome to another episode of the McBlenny podcast. This is going to be an awesome episode, for a couple of reasons. It's a very, very, very special episode. First, it's Championship Sunday. Liverpool just won the league. Voila for who don't support Liverpool. Yeah, it's awesome. I feel very excited for that. I'm also happy for the Chelsea fans. At least they carry forth. They go manage like that. They go manage like that. So
that's small.
Yes, it's very special for that reason. Another reason is special is that you are joining us. You are very special. You're joining us today, watching this episode, and it's also our first episode that we'll be having a special guest on. So it's special for that. Thank you for your time. Continue to like our page, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell as well. You are very special to us. Yes, as I mentioned, it's very special because we have a very special guest. Very, very special guest to all of us, and eventually by the time you finish watching this episode, it's going to be special to you too. I can promise you that. So our guest today is none other than Dr. Ayobami Ogunshola. So Ayobami, by way of introduction, is a UIT, is a physician, a physician from Nigeria. He practiced orthopedic. He practiced as a medical officer in an orthopedic hospital, right? Yes. So and he's also an Aggie, Gigem, Yeah, and importantly, I am also a UIT, greatest UIT. Even though I finished pharmacy school before AY, like I like to call him, started medical school. And we actually met at Texas A&M. That's why he's an Aggie. And is a founding member of the House of Pepe 9302B, specifically where we met. Where that day, I think it was Samuel that came to drop you, and he already called me out. There's this guy, he just came, trying to settle in, blah blah blah. He's looking for a place. No, while now, place they make he can always come. He's always welcome. So at Texas A&M, he actually studied MPH, concentrating in epidemiology. And I can tell you, he's a wonderful epidemiologist. And another thing is that we together, I and Ayobami, we've actually had, I think, is it 4 or 5 publications together, in the field of healthcare, public health studies. So this is a very, very important. He's also the vice president of the Network of International Health Researchers. So that's our group, where we, of course, I will go into more detail specifically in that later, but absolutely where we have our publications, where we also mentor scholars, other rising public health scholars. We mentor them, help them to get publications, to understand the process of publications. So he does this as well. Currently, AY is, very, very importantly, and what I'm also very, very excited about, is doing his PhD, and he's also doing his residency in orthopedic surgery in the United States of America. I have to call it in full because it's not something that comes easy, and it was a struggle that I'm glad that I was a part of it. I'm always excited when someone is able, they want something and they are able to achieve it, first because of themselves, secondly because at least I was able to grease their gear so that they can they can get there. So I'm very excited to have Ayobami here with us today, and you are very welcome, Ayobami. I would also like to mention my brothers here, Ikoyi and Blessing, Blessing, CEO Top Brand Autos, and Ikoyi himself, the Ogiso one. Of Bini Kingdom, of course. We have to call it in full. Yes, the guy they shine it. What's happen? I know. I'm happy for everyone. So it's gonna be a great episode. Just sit back, relax. Carry stool, rest your leg on the stool. Bring ice water. Chain your dog if you have one, or let's make sure your babies are they are relaxed. Give them food. You're going to enjoy this episode. So you are very, very, very welcome to our podcast, and being the very, very first guest. I know in fact the podcast is ready for great things at this point. So I guess maybe if you want to say a couple of things, that's fine. Before I start with the questions, do you want to say a couple of things? If not, I can start with the questions.
I just want to thank you for having me here. Everyone, we've had some time together, Mr. Mark, Mr. Eni. There's only Mr. Blessing that I haven't met in person, but I've heard a lot of good things about you. So it's important that I say that any Mr. Mark has been a part of this journey, one way or the other. We've discussed and we rubbed mind together. So it's good to also be on the same platform with you to talk, and share ideas and also learn about me again. Thank you for inviting.
Yes, you're most welcome. So the very, very, very first question, Dr. Ayobami, physician from the University of Ibadan, practicing in Nigeria. What happened? Why? Why are you here? What happened? What was the first time? What were the events or the thoughts? What was the impetus? That made you eventually, decide to come to the US?
Oh, all right. So that was a good question, and I had that idea since I was in secondary school, or what you call high school, that I've always had that dream that I wasn't going to stay in the country. So I've always wanted to be somewhat like an international doctor who would be, everywhere. like, recognized. So, but it didn't really come into a solid plan until medical school, and then passing through medical school, which we want to thank our teachers for the investment they made in us. And while passing through medical school, you saw things that were good, the ones that could be better, and particularly seeing how our teachers struggled in certain areas. The culmination of those experiences solidified the plan, like, I think I would need to leave this system, especially when you've seen people who worked within the system still suffer. And it's that, it's across board. My parents were both teachers, or what would you call civil servants. My dad worked with Osun State government. Mom worked with Oyo State government. And I could say that we had a life that was full of ups and downs. It was struggle all through. That was one of the things that spurred me to study medicine. Then after getting into medicine, you still figure out that, though you are better than some certain percentage of the population, you are still struggling in your own right? When I graduated, that was 2015. That was the time of General Buhari. Things became tougher, and looking at the whole economic situation as everything was going on, I called some of my friends. I'm like, well, if this guy, if he won the second term, it's going to be much more tougher. But me, I go down come out. So I was having those plans, just putting those engines, repping them, doing what I need to do to get out. So it's a lot of experience, the combination of a lot of experiences, family-wise, societal-wise, even, in terms of the education that we got. One of the things was that, I wanted to also experience what education looks like in a better environment. So, putting everything together strengthened my resolve to leave Nigeria. Albeit it wasn't easy. So maybe when we start asking questions, we can
this is important. This is important because I really appreciate your response. So it's an idea that has been brewing over time, circumstances, maybe as well as interesting. Let me see what's out there. What can I do better? Given your journey through school and life, you see, okay, these are the strengths, these are the weaknesses of what you've seen. Maybe I can go out there and also beef up myself. Particularly the final push was the SACPA that was happening in the country at that period. And even though you've been thinking about it, I guess usually there's that tipping point for almost everyone that it just is that I think I'm leaving now. And thank you for identifying that. But I know, yes, you decide in your head, right? That I'm leaving. That process, we want to hear it page by page. How was it? Because traveling is not something, especially traveling abroad from Nigeria, it's not everyone that have like ready money for school or even statement of account. For some people, even applying to schools for to get admission, writing GRE, all those things. Let's know how did that go for you?
Yes, so it's a lot of story to unwrap around this. So
we are here. We are not rushing.
So house job came. That's when you start, earning some of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when house job came, and luckily for me, I didn't have to look too much because I was part of the first 40 in the UCH, roster. That's how you performed in the exam.
Mm-hmm.
So they will take, it used to be 20. Well, for some reason, they said the competition was fierce among us because we were just 0.5. away.
see.
So the CMD was like, I cannot, in a good conscience, pick 20 because these guys are too close. So
Wow, I like that. I like that.
So they
I
picked
like
40
that.
of us to start. That time I was already in Abuja, thinking of going to Nasarawa to go and look for house job. I was going to submit my CV, and then I got the call from USAID. Naturally, I did not want usage.
Oh,
I just
really?
wanted to leave. Like,
Oh, I see. Because you
didn't
school
want
there,
to,
so
do anything in the environment. So
you want a new environment. I see.
One of my uncles in Abuja, who is still trying to help me sort out somewhere in Nasarawa, and I've also written the exam for Lagos. Unfortunately,
We are talking about loot.
yes, but I wrote the exam late, so I didn't know I could have written that exam during our final year. So I waited till I graduated final year we wrote it. I could have written it in like year 5 instead of year 6, because you have to if you pass it, you have to wait a year to get in or something like that. So there was that arrangement which I can't really remember. So I was on my way to Nasarawa and I got the call from USAID like, oh, we've picked you for house job. Do you want it? So I'm like, I told them, give me time. Let me think about it. So I told my uncle that this is what's happening. He said, so what are you looking for? You better go back and go and do it. This place that you're going, it's not even sure. As at that time, we had people who wait 1 year, 2 years, even to get this, house job.
Yeah.
That's why, the kind of thing they do now that it's under MDCM now, they change the whole system now where it has to be under MDCM. So it was like that then. So that was what pushed me back to UCH. And so we started. And then I remember that when we started, you were owed probably the first 2 or 3 months salary. They will have told you before you started.
Yeah.
So, but they will pay you in bulk.
Yes. I think there's some.
But that money, they make sense. I remember my internship days too. Now the first 3 months.
Exactly.
Bro, that money are like 400 or 500.
Yeah, so imagine like 380K to 400 plus.
Yeah.
Enter your account. As a you first saw that money. You have this flurry of emotion, thinking about what do I do with this money and everything. And
I know what to do. I just cannot go.
So and then I went to. And then I remember my dad. Remember my dad. And I told them that, we got paid. And he was asking me, so how much are you people even collecting? So I told him, and he was shocked. It was like, even me that worked 35 years, 35 years for the government, I didn't earn this kind of salary. So in my mind, I then put myself in his shoes. And I thought about it that, okay, if somebody are giving this system a whole lot,
yeah,
and this is the kind of thing that can come out from their mouth, I'm like, this is not the system I want to work for, unfortunately. So that was, number one part of it, and part of my decision making. I remembered also many times the governors will not pay salary. A lot of things you have to struggle through. So it's a whole stuff. So that for me was a trigger when he mentioned that. But I just shrugged it off like, okay, well, it is what it is. I'm not a medical doctor. You were a teacher when you did this. It was different. But again, I derived another meaning from that talk. So I started saving these monies. Apart from the fact that maybe I have my mom, my siblings, or people to just give small change. The rest was just for me to eat, flex, save. So what I did was, thankfully, I met some good young, what they call them, bank officers at Union Bank then, because that's where my salary account to get to.
Wow.
So they started, selling different products to me. If you do this, we can keep it like this. You will get this interest like this. So I signed up like for like 3 or 4 of those products. So all my monies were spread across board.
Nice.
So I was doing all those things, you know, and there was a lot of errors too. I was desperate to use a car, at least to present myself as a doctor.
Yeah, newly minted.
Yes. When you say you dey save money, now motor I go back. I don't even negotiate that.
So it was difficult. So I was like, okay, I can't afford a new car. So there was a Volvo that my father had used, and then we were talking. It was like, you know, you can repair this Volvo and just be using it.
Yeah.
My mother warned me against it, but I did not listen.
You must learn now.
So I went. I put like
you could learn.
Refurbish the Volvo. They did it, but lo and behold, you know, as we're saying all this, these are things that maybe people will be getting some ideas or from how this is. Every week, I was my mechanic's friend. Every week, I was doing one thing. I wanted. So that I got that over like, you know, 7 months to the end of house job. So that was probably what saved me. So by that time I've saved enough money. That Volvo was pulling some money out of me. I didn't really bother. Like, okay. So I was putting money together. I had friends then because a lot of my friends, if you ask them what specialty did I want to do, they will say orthopedics. Does he want to stay in Nigeria? No. 90% will tell you no. So for some of us that will go abroad, we already knew ourselves in the class.
You're very clear and intentional.
Yeah. So some people were walking towards the UK part because that was faster. Some of us like me, I didn't like the UK because 1, it was too conservative for me. 2 was that we had this experience when we were young. When we had uncles from the US, we had uncles from the UK. The US people, they spend money better. They give you things. But the UK people,
they show working.
They show working.
They will give you things, but you know that this thing is not as, you know,
it's
better as what the US folks will give.
The difference is clear.
So that was in my mind already. So I'm like, yeah, I wanted to live a good life. I wanted to live large. I don't want to be boxed. Then, you know, when I grew up a little bit, I, you know, studied the UK environment. And I realized that there's a ceiling to what you can get, to where you can be. If you like, be surgeon, be whatever you are, they find a way to bring you back to the mean through, you know, their taxes and whatever they do. You know? So I feel like in the US, you are allowed to express yourself. You know, you are allowed to do. You don't have a limit or ceiling. So that tilted me towards US. And you know, NYC. When we got to, so I took that car to NYC. Let me just, you know, NYC camp, the first 2-week camp. I took it to.
Where they show yourself?
I did flex now. Took it to because my camp was
which camp was it?
Ogun State.
Oh.
So I drove from Ibadan to Ogun State. So I dropped the car in Shagamu with my father's, you know, one of my father's cousins. So I was there with them. I went there. The car started giving problem again. So when I finished camp, I drove back all the way to Ibadan. The car broke down, Lagos Ibadan Expressway, and we had to go and fix it. And it was at the mechanic's place that somebody reversed the car and the person wasn't looking and hit me, you know. So I had that big bruise and hematoma at the back of my laps. You know. So at that point, something rang in my head that I'm done with this car. It's good to be careless. This is not a car.
But it's not that person's fault. I mean, they are wrong, but it's funny.
They are wrong, but you see, a lot of events happen. I just needed that trigger.
The car had it coming. Had it coming.
So, you know, I just, you know, told my father, please go and sell this thing. If you want to sell these scraps, whatever money you get, give it to me. So when they sold it, I got some, at least like 300K back. I just took the whole money, put it again in my saving. So I went back to my primary place of appointment, which was also good for me because that was my mother's hometown. I don't know how it worked that they posted me there, posted me in my mother's hometown. So things lined up because I didn't have to pay for accommodation.
Yeah.
My mother was, from a royal family there. My uncle was the king. So I could basically do whatever I wanted to do. That was it. My mom has been away from that place for a long time. So when I came back for them, they told my mother that you think you can take our son and take him out. They will always come back. So that was the opportunity how my mother came back to that place. So I was there, free accommodation, free food. I was basically doing whatever I want to do.
It seemed like you were really you were enjoying, from everything you are saying, cruising, big money. I still don't see why you actually left.
I was doing whatever I want to do. I had from my primary place of appointment, I was still covering like one other hospital around that. See, making money and doing this. So with all the money,
quick one, NYSC, was it paying as much as house job or whatever? I just wanted to put that out there.
So NYSC will pay you get like 18,000.
No, I'm saying plus all the other ones that you
so by the time I do all my hustle, I will still get like up to like 170 thereabout. But that would be like working in 2 hospitals plus the 58,000 plus 18,000 that that comes in. So I was putting all this money, doing. Then my friend now called me one day. It was like, Shabi, you said you wanted to go abroad.
I said yes. Yeah, enjoying yourself.
He said, let's go and do GRE now. I said, yeah. I said, we have to do that one. Because I was only looking at schools that will not
take GRE. Yeah.
I'm like, I said, so when should we do this?
That would have actually limited your opportunities. Yeah, it's better to do GRE. Yeah.
He said, so when should we do this? He said, like, sure, we can do it in 3 weeks' time. Me, I wasn't even thinking. So I just booked the exam, 3 weeks. I was there. So it was when I got to Lagos, then I met one guy that I knew, the same exam. It was like, you are coming for J? I said, yeah. I didn't know. I said, yeah, I'm coming. It was like, what book did you read? I was like, I just read. I mentioned one name of the book. It was like, you didn't read Magoosh. You didn't read this guy. What are you doing? I'm like, well, let's just go in. Since we are here, we're already here.
Why are you telling me I didn't read my book?
Now we'll have to go write the exam again because
So we did, and then I got out with 305. With that shabby preparation. So I was
like, good enough.
Oh yeah, that's where most people are.
Yeah, that's where most people are now.
Yeah, so I'm like,
311.
When I told him, like, he said, what did you do? I said 305. I was like, really? I said, yes. Yeah. So I took my things, I left. So, and I knew that there was nobody who would sponsor master's education for me. So it's either you get a scholarship or you get some sort of loans. So I started looking at schools that there was this Empower loan then that I heard about, that they said they can give you money for masters and stuff. So I started looking for schools that.
How did you know about Empower? Because I actually heard through it when you and maybe a couple of those folks.
I know from Nigeria or one way or the other. Because I was looking. Then me and another friend of mine were looking for different, how can we pay? Because of course we knew that for master scholarship is going to be a little bit limited. And one of the reasons why we could not apply for direct PhD, which I didn't know, was ignorance. If I had known, maybe I would have done apply to a PhD program, but I didn't know. I just felt like you have to first do masters, then you will do PhD. So we started looking for funding. So Empower came, and I started the application like play. They were asking for, what is your account statement? Bring all my. So I put all my salary accounts, how I've done it. I put everything, and the whole process was going. And then, as at that point, NYSC had finished. I was still waiting for Empower's decision. So I was looking for a job. So I went to one guy that I was working with, like, oh, do you want to take us? There's another guy, Araromi. You know Araromi. So, like, do you want to take us so that we can be your house officer? Lo and behold, the man didn't want to pay. So we're like, okay, no problem. So Araromi left for the US shortly. So it was me. So I went to Lekki. There was a job. I got an interview there. I went there, and the interview went well. They were going to give me the job, but the offer did not come with accommodation. And I was looking at if I had to live on mainland, you know, going to that place every day. I felt like I was going to be living like a poor man. Basically, that was a calculation in my head, because if you're being paid like 170 something thousand and like 45,000 to 50,000, you are using it for transportation.
Yeah,
you are basically poor in Lagos. So
and the stress.
Yes. So that was the thing that led me to work in Ekpe. So I went back to Ekpe.
Oh.
I got a job there. My friend was there, was my senior in school. We were close friends. So I was able to stay with him. I worked in Ekpe for some years, you know, get like a year, just making money, continue with my application. So the other part of the money, because you will have been wondering, like, okay, all this money, is it only GRE? Do you need this money for something? No, not only. The other part of the money was what I had saved up for USMLE Step 1. Because USMLE Step 1, as at that
already
time,
thinking ahead.
Yeah, it was about $1,000. I was going to need $1,000 to be able to pay for the exam. Number two, I will have to go to Ghana. Travel to Ghana to do the exam, because there's no center in Nigeria. You know, that comes with hotel, feeding expenses and all that. So that was what I was saving a chunk of my money for. So while I was still doing the masters was actually like a plan B. It's not really the exact A, but it's just like B-ish. So Ekpe, my time to an Ekpe came to an end. It was short. You know, 1 year, the guy reneged on many agreements that we had. It was meant to book an accommodation, but he felt comfortable because I was staying with a friend. So he didn't want to pay for accommodation at some point. You know, you kept promising 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, you know, still living with a friend, 9 months.
I think that might have also helped you, like, you know what?
You know, and, you know, I just kept applying to schools as at that point.
How many schools did you apply to?
I applied to like about 10 schools. So I applied to about 10 schools, you know. I just kept applying. Then Empower was still waiting. They were still processing. I don't know what they were doing then, but they were, you know, doing their own background checks and all this stuff. So one day I just decided I'm going to resign. Like, I'm going to Ibadan. Like, I was done. Like, there's nothing in Lagos for me. So I'm like, well, let me just go.
So where was your application at that point?
So that point, I was
have admission already from any of the schools.
No, I don't have admission yet. So I was at that point. I submitted applications to all these schools.
Okay, we're waiting.
You know, they were just waiting, but all these schools were under Empower. So
I see. Okay,
one loan should cover, depending on the school I want to send it to. I would.
So the Empower loan, they have a list of schools.
Yes, that they support. So I just applied to those schools.
Okay, that's the way it works.
Yeah. So I returned to Ibadan, not knowing that what will change my course was waiting. So I returned to Ibadan. Yes. Okay. When I returned to Ibadan, I met my mom on the sick bed. I didn't know. They didn't tell me nothing. You know, nobody told me anything, and within 2 weeks she was gone.
What?
Yeah. Really? So we lost her.
Man, that's sad.
You know, a lot of things happened there too. Like, you know, a lot of things that probably because I was away for a long time, I didn't really know the landscape of Ibadan. Plus, they didn't tell me anything. So I met her at an hospital, private hospital. Then she started having cardiology issues, and we went to see a cardiologist who unfortunately did not manage her well. And it was the day I told, you know, that look, I'm not satisfied with the care you're getting. I will take you to UCA tomorrow. That was the plan. And it was the evening of that day that I told her that she died.
That she passed away? Yeah. Oh my goodness. So sorry to hear that, but just to conceptualize this. I mean, I'm thinking about it. If it's any other person, that would rather dampen your drive to move. Did he dampen your drive to move? Actually, energize you to move?
He did a lot. Because, in that period, when I was in Ibadan, I had received a rejection from Florida with the master's thing. I'd received it, and I told her, one of the schools I applied to
said no.
It was really Florida I wanted to go.
Oh.
Not Texas A&M, because I had friends in Florida. I had Yomi too at A&M, but more of my classmates were in Florida, and they were talking in glowing terms about Florida. So, but Florida rejected my application. So
you don't belong there. Don't worry.
Yes,
you went to the right school.
And she told me that, you are going to go. You are going to, get it. Don't worry. There are other ones. Wait. So when she died, the reality was I was the first child. Across board, I was the only one with bar. Dad is retired.
That's a tough position, bro.
Brothers, 2 siblings that were still basically in school. So through the burial, I spent money. So all the money for the USMLE went in that direction. Man. So when our family side came together, gave us some money. I look at our youngest brother. I was like, okay, for his mental health, let's just put him somewhere. That was where we drew some money in my accounts, joined with that money, and we sent him to go and do A-levels. Just go, just sort yourself. So I was there. In the meantime, when I was in Ibadan too, I was looking for an accommodation in Bodija area. So the woman that was meant to be the estate agent swindled me, 300,000 naira. We could not get the whole money back. Probably got like 200. Police collected their own share, and the money was just destroyed that way. At the end of the day, all the USMLE plan went down the day. Was like I had to rebuild back because the whole money was gone. But I became sick myself because the whole thing happened. It wasn't like maybe I was going through some depressive episode. I would just wake up at night, I would be crying. And I was forced to go back because of that accommodation thing. The only house I was forced to go back was my mother's house. She was there. She moved there just like 3-4 months. It was still uncompleted. There was no light. There was no water. So they had to get water and light. So basically, I was a doctor, was living in a house with no light, with no water, with my siblings. And we were there. So it was tough. I got a job at Bambi at that time. So
at that point, I can imagine the US dream is even looking like.
That's what I said.
It's like, let's just.
It wasn't, honestly, it was not.
You were honestly not thinking about US at that point.
Not, because at that point I was just thinking, okay, how do I survive?
Yeah, how do you survive? Get on your feet.
I wake up at night. I'll look at my siblings sleeping. I'll just be looking. I hated everything around me. That was it, And so I will go to Wakobo, go and do my job there. Luckily for me, a friend of mine too, struggling, all of us like that. We're like 3-4 struggling. We're just doing locum up and down. Anyway, I don't sleep at home. Probably one weekend is what I have at home in a month. Everyone is either I'm sleeping in this hospital doing this just to make money. Because as I'm making that money,
you're spending
every month that I make that money, I must sort out my brothers.
Yeah, you're spending it.
And so the remaining one is what I keep. I was still trying to save a little bit.